marble floor gleamed beneath the golden lights of the grand hotel lobby as Ethan Cole guided his mistress, Bella, through the revolving glass doors. The scent of luxury hung in the air, fresh lilies, polished oak, and expensive perfume. He carried himself with the confidence of a man used to being in control. His tailored suit perfectly pressed, his watch gleaming beneath his cuff. To anyone watching, they looked like a couple on a glamorous getaway, but to Ethan, it was an escape. A night where he could forget responsibility, loyalty, and the wife waiting at home. Bella clung to his arm, her laughter light and seductive as she whispered something that made him smirk. "You sure your wife doesn't suspect anything?" she teased. Ethan chuckled lowly. "Clara thinks I'm in Dubai for meetings. She doesn't question much these days." The words came out with a careless ease, yet a small knot of unease tightened in his chest. He brushed it off quickly. He had lied before and always gotten away with it. The hotel manager greeted them warmly, personally escorting them to the presidential suite. "Everything's been prepared as requested. Mr. Cole," he said politely. Ethan gave a brief nod, the kind of acknowledgement that came from years of authority and habit. Inside the suite, city lights poured through the wide windows, casting shimmering reflections across the room. Bella twirled near the bed, her red dress catching the glow. "5 stars indeed," she said playfully. Ethan poured 2 glasses of champagne, his fingers steady despite the thrill coursing through him. "To a night we'll never forget," he toasted. They clinked glasses, the sound echoing like a secret promise. For a while, the night unfolded just as he had planned. Laughter, kisses, and the illusion of freedom. Yet as the clock struck 10, Ethan's phone buzzed with a message from his assistant. "Reminder, call with the board postponed. Also, Mrs. Cole left you a note on your desk. Said she'll see you soon." He frowned, his hand tightening around the phone. See him soon? He told himself it meant nothing. Clara often left notes. She was thoughtful that way, quiet, unassuming. He set the phone aside, pretending not to care. Though unease crept into his veins, Bella noticed his distraction and moved closer, brushing her fingers along his jawline. "Relax, Ethan," she whispered. "You're mine tonight." Her voice melted into the air, soft and dangerous. He exhaled, forcing a smile, convincing himself everything was fine. But outside in the quiet corridors of the hotel, the universe had already begun to turn against him. A name had just been added to the ownership ledger, a name he knew too well. As Ethan leaned back into his glass of champagne, the night air grew colder, and somewhere deep inside, something told him this would be the last night he'd ever feel truly in control. The suite shimmered with indulgence, soft jazz playing from hidden speakers, the scent of vanilla candles mixing with the sweetness of champagne. Bella lounged across the silk sheets, her laughter echoing through the room as Ethan scrolled idly through his phone. The city glittered beneath them like a sea of gold, skyscrapers winking in the night. He told himself this was what he deserved after years of hard work. A moment of pleasure, a break from the dull predictability of his marriage. Yet as Bella teased him, wrapping her fingers around his tie and pulling him closer, a strange restlessness flickered in his chest. "You think about her?" she asked suddenly, tilting her head. He froze for a second before smirking. "Not tonight." She smiled, satisfied with the lie, and kissed him. But when she turned away, Ethan's gaze drifted toward his reflection in the window. The man staring back looked powerful. Yes, but hollow too, a ghost in a perfect suit. He poured himself another glass of champagne, ignoring the way his hand trembled slightly. "You worry too much," Bella said, sensing the shift in him. "You're like one of those men who can buy everything. Except peace of mind," he chuckled, trying to shake it off. "Peace of mind is overrated." She laughed again, lying back on the pillows, unaware of how close truth had come to his throat. The phone on the table buzzed once more, this time a message from his lawyer confirming a meeting for next week regarding the Cole Foundation transfer, Clara's foundation, his wife's pride and passion project. Ethan felt a pang of guilt, a flash of her smile when she first founded it years ago. How proud she'd been. But guilt had no place here. He silenced the phone, drained his glass, and pulled Bella into his arms. "Forget the world," he murmured. "Just tonight." She nodded and kissed him again, but fate was already knocking. A soft rap echoed at the door. Bella looked up, confused. "You ordered room service?" she asked. Ethan frowned. "No." The knock came again, firmer this time. He straightened his tie, irritation simmering under his breath. "Probably a staff mix-up," he muttered, heading to the door. Bella giggled, clutching the sheet around herself. "Maybe they're bringing more champagne." He didn't answer. Something about the timing felt wrong, almost eerie. He opened the door halfway, prepared to scold whoever was on the other side, then froze completely. The words died in his throat, his face draining of color. Time seemed to stop. The laughter, the music, even the lights felt dimmer. Standing there wasn't a waiter or hotel manager. It was Clara, his wife. Her expression calm, her presence devastating, and in that instant Ethan realized the night wasn't his to control anymore. Ethan's breath caught in his chest as his eyes met. Clara's, the hallway behind her, glowed with soft golden light, but she was the only thing he could see. She stood tall, elegant in a tailored white suit that shimmered faintly under the chandelier, her dark hair pinned neatly, her face composed yet unreadable. For a second, he wondered if he was hallucinating. "Clara?" he whispered, his voice cracking. How did you?" She raised a hand slightly, stopping his words before they could form excuses. "Mr. Cole," she said, her tone calm, professional, distant. "I didn't expect to see you here. During my first inspection as the new owner." Her words sliced through him like a blade. Behind him, Bella gasped quietly, clutching the bedsheet closer as realization struck. Ethan's heart pounded in his ears, his pulse quick and heavy. "Owner?" he stammered, stepping back, as if physical distance could make sense of this nightmare. Clara's eyes didn't flinch. "Yes, I finalized the purchase this morning. The Cole Group needed diversification, and this hotel chain was the perfect start." She glanced briefly at Bella, then back at him, her expression void of emotion. Imagine my surprise when I found my husband occupying one of my suites. Her calmness was more terrifying than fury. Ethan tried to gather words, but every excuse crumbled before it could escape his lips. "Clara, please, I can explain." "Explain what?" she interrupted softly, taking a step forward. "That business trips are code for betrayal? That the man I defended for years, trusted, and believed in turned our marriage into a lie?" Her voice didn't rise, yet each syllable hit him harder than any scream could. He reached for her, desperate, but she moved back slightly, a cold wall of dignity separating them. "You know what's ironic?" she continued. "I came here tonight to celebrate. I was proud of what I built without your help. But instead, I find what I should have seen years ago." Bella stood frozen in the background, her face pale. "Mrs. Cole, she began, but Clara's gaze silenced her instantly. "You don't need to say anything," Clara said sharply. "You didn't make vows to me." The room felt suffocating, the air thick with shame and champagne fumes. Ethan's mind scrambled for control, for the charm he used in boardrooms and negotiations. But it failed him now. His empire, his arrogance, his double life all lay exposed before the one woman who once believed in him completely. Clara turned to leave, her heels clicking against the marble floor, but paused at the doorway. Without looking back, she said, "You always told me power was about control, Ethan. But tonight, it seems I'm the one holding it." Then she walked out, leaving behind the scent of her perfume and the ruins of everything he thought he owned. The silence after Clara's departure was deafening, broken only by the faint hum of the city beyond the glass windows. Ethan stood motionless, his mind blank, his body trembling with disbelief. The woman he had betrayed had just stripped him of every illusion he'd built. His mistress sat on the edge of the bed, clutching the sheet tightly around herself, her face pale and eyes darting toward the door as if expecting Clara to return. "Ethan, what just happened?" she whispered. But he didn't answer. His heart pounded, every word Clara had spoken echoing in his skull. "New owner, inspection, my suites." He pressed a hand to his forehead, trying to breathe. "This can't be real," he muttered, pacing back and forth. She can't have bought the hotel. She wouldn't, she couldn't, but he knew Clara too well. When she made a decision, it was final. When she was quiet, it was dangerous. She had always been the calm before the storm, the kind of woman who didn't need to shout to make the world listen. Bella rose slowly, fear creeping into her voice. "Should I leave?" Ethan looked at her, but there was no trace of the charm. The morning sun crept through the blinds, spilling golden light over the wreckage of the night before. Ethan sat alone on the edge of the bed, still in his wrinkled suit, his face drawn and pale. Empty glasses and melted ice littered the table, and the air carried the faint trace of Clara's perfume. Haunting. Unforgettable. He hadn't slept. Every time he closed his eyes, he saw her standing at that door, calm and powerful, the embodiment of everything he'd taken for granted. His phone buzzed endlessly, calls from investors, messages from his assistant, headlines flashing across news sites. Clara Cole becomes majority owner of Crown Luxe. Hotels, a bold new era begins. Her picture was everywhere, smiling gracefully beside the mayor, her eyes radiant with confidence. She didn't look like a woman scorned. She looked reborn. Ethan's throat tightened as he scrolled through the articles. The world was celebrating her strength, her elegance, her business acumen. His wife had turned betrayal into opportunity. And he was the fool who had handed her the stage. His company's shares had begun to dip overnight. Whispers of instability and scandal were already circulating. He tried to call her, but every attempt went unanswered. When he arrived at the office, even the receptionist avoided his gaze. The empire he built was trembling, and no one would meet his eyes. Later that evening, he found himself in the hotel's lobby once more, standing by the grand chandelier that had witnessed his downfall. Clara emerged from the elevator, radiant in a navy blue dress, surrounded by reporters and staff who hung on her every word. She glanced at him briefly, offering a polite, distant smile, a smile that said everything was finished. When their eyes met, he wanted to speak, to apologize, to beg, but his voice failed him. She turned gracefully toward the cameras, saying, "Every ending can be a beginning, if you choose to rise instead of fall." The crowd applauded. Ethan felt the words burn through him like fire. She didn't need revenge. Her success was punishment enough. As she disappeared into the sea of lights and cameras, he realized that the woman he once underestimated had not only walked away from his betrayal, she had built an empire on top of its ashes. And in that moment, Ethan Cole finally understood what true power looked like. It wasn't wealth, control, or desire. It was grace, the kind that shines even after being broken.